so let's move on to question two. Question two. Sorry to interrupt your video, but this is future me talking to you while you're watching this. And if you are struggling with a certain part of your IA or you just need some way to check over your IA, we do personal one-on-one IA classes. So if you want your IA to get a check over, just to make sure you have all the requirements on the marks, makeITsimpleTT.com/register. Okay, cool. Back to the video. Ali and Rafi are working together to create the lyrics of a song. They are not experts at using technology and need your assistance with completing certain tasks. Alright, this, if any question I find was a little iffy, is this one. This one sounds kind of weird, right? But weird in the sense that there are multiple answers that you could give, and in the exam, you may not be sure which one you were supposed to do. So, it's very weird, but I'll explain it to y'all as I go. Because when I read this question this morning, I was like, what? It's kind of weird, but anyway. This afternoon, because I had paper this afternoon. Sorry, just...
What we are doing is trying to stave off a calamity.
Right, yeah. So, Ali typed the first verse of the document, saved it as verses, while Rafi typed the chorus in another document, saved as bridge. State two features that would produce a new document containing both the verse and the chorus. I can't see anything besides copy and paste, right? Copy and paste. And they asked for two features that would produce a new document containing both the verse and the chorus. So copy and paste, and then what? Save as? Unless copy and paste is considered, copy is one feature and paste is the second feature, that would be the 2 marks. But I believe that after you copy and paste it, you have to produce a new document, which means I have to save it after. So that's why I'm thinking save as should be there. I just saying. But I can see that somebody will just be, well, copy and paste, and that would work. But I'm thinking that they might throw in the save as a mark. I believe in that they might throw it in. But if they don't, some examiner will argue for it. Yeah. Right? Now, insert and all those kind of things, I don't know what you're talking about, but this is definitely not a mail merge, and there is no feature that I know of in Microsoft Word that allows you to just merge 2 documents. So, right, so if you like Google merge 2 documents in Word, there is a insert, and then you can insert text from another document. Select the files to be merged, and then they will merge them together. However, nowhere on the syllabus have anything about merging 2 documents. So you can merge 2 documents and combine them, but the syllabus never mentions that in any particular way. So if you have combined documents and whatever the feature is, you could put that, but I never see this in my life. I never did this in my life, and most of all, I never teach a student that in my life. But if the examiners have any like, you know, not sense, but if the examiners willing to fight, they could fight and say copy and paste, because nowhere on the syllabus has combined documents as a thing that you have to teach. So we could take copy and paste and save as there, because that will work. Still, the purpose of including the comments feature in a document, this is to give feedback to other people who may be reading the document after. Alright, now this here, I'm so glad this is a replacement of the steps question. Instead of asking you for the steps to combine a document, they're asking you, do you understand why you need to put comments? Do you understand why you need to do this? And that's what we want to see. We want to see that students understand why you do certain things. After making updates to the lyrics, identify the feature that should be used to ensure the document is regularly updated. There's a feature called track changes. So you could put track changes in MS Word, or you could put share document in Google Docs. Right, so there is a feature called track changes. and it will show you all the changes that are made. However, if you share a document with somebody in Google Docs, by default, they'll show you all the changes that other people made in it, and you could see all the revisions. And you will see revisions. So in Google Docs, that is automatic. In Microsoft Word, you have to put it in place. So yeah, to ensure that the document is regularly updated, you can track the changes, right? If you put save, I don't think that'll be correct, because saving the document just means that it is saved, but that doesn't mean that it is updated. If you track changes, every time you open up the document, you will see the changes that were made to it. If you save it alone, that's not really going to change anything. Markup might be cool. Autosave. That doesn't mean that the document is regularly updated. Autosave just means that the document is regularly saved. So I do think autosave is a fight down, because as I said, if there's one question that has some questions about it, this one will be the question. So I think autosave might fight, because regularly saving the document means that you are updating the document on the storage, on the local storage. So autosave and regularly saving, that's something for the examiners to argue about. But based on my understanding of word processing, there is something on the syllabus called track changes, and children should know it. Markup is almost the same thing as track changes, yeah. So they'll have to argue that. Suggest to Ali and Rafi the best feature to use to ensure that no one can view the content on their document. You could restrict editing is the name of the function on Word. Restrict editing. Or you could put password protect. Or you could change it to view only on Google Docs. Right, remember, if you're saying something about Google Docs, state it separately. If you're stating something about Microsoft Word, you could do it. They ask for the best feature. So some of you will argue for encryption. Encryption is not an easy thing to do, and sometimes they don't just want to encrypt a document. So encryption is a very rough answer to accept there. I personally don't think encryption will work, but yeah, it is debatable. It is debatable. So you could password protect it, you could choose the restrict editing option, or you could change it to view only if you're doing it in Google Docs. Right? Right. Now, when I say an answer is rough, what that means is your answer, technically from an IT perspective, it is correct. However, CSEC has a mark scheme, which is a sheet of paper, well, not a sheet of paper, a PDF that they give the examiners, and they say these are the answers we are looking for. Before you actually mark the paper, they have a group of examiners who will go through the answers and argue for certain answers to be added to it based on their knowledge of the topic. So if an examiner decides to argue that encryption should be accepted, somebody will have to give their points for, somebody will have to give their points for against, and then they will update the mark scheme and say, okay, now we could go ahead and mark all of the papers because encryption is accepted. But somebody has to do that. So when I used to mark, I used to argue for certain answers because some of the questions were had different ways of doing certain things, and I used to argue, and they used to update the mark scheme from time to time. But I don't mark anymore because that's slave labor, right? Suggest the feature with which both Ali and Rafi could use to see updates, amendments made to the lyrics by each other. This is track changes, or it could be the review tab, review, or it could be review, or it could be what is called this thing, mine? That's I'll open up with. It's that one thing that don't get used most of the time. Review, markup, yeah, markup. Show markup, yeah. Track changes, show markup, and they have a thing called balloons also. I don't think anybody will ever see balloons because I don't think they're on the syllabus, but yeah. Yeah. These are things that you learn in Microsoft Word or word processing theory. Word processing theory is not taught much, in my opinion, because most of the times, the only time you have to do word processing is when you have to do the mail merge for your SBA. But they actually have stuff in theory of word processing that you need to learn. And yeah. Alright, so these are Microsoft Word answers. If you're going to Google Docs road, You could say revisions, because they will show you the revisions, and you could choose comment only, so that people could write comments on things that happen. Right? So inside Google Docs, you put comment only. Like when you go in Google Docs, you could choose what people could do. They could view, they could comment, or they could edit. So if you choose comment only, you'll be able to manage that. Right? Yeah, version history. If version history is a thing you name it, revisions of version history. Version history in Google Docs, yeah. So it's not named revision, it's named version history. Right? So they'll have to accept that because it's correct. Version history, comment only. Yeah. Nice. Right, so we're still in the second question, and in the second question, Rafi used a fillable electronic form to complete the payment option for an online music course. Right, nice question again, because this question shows you application about how to work something. But just think of you filling out information online, and you have to put in the information. It's pretty straightforward. The fillable electronic form was created using various content controls. Identify 4 labels and their associated content controls. Content controls are how you control the put information on the form. So that's checkboxes, combo boxes, text boxes, drop-down boxes, date pickers. All those are different things that you would use. So imagine if you create a fillable form, there are ways that you control how people put information in the form. So the first one I will most likely meet up, well, clearly here this is a checkbox, right? So the label is payment schedule, and you are using a checkbox because clearly you have to check here or here. So you can only choose one of the two, right? Monthly payment or full payment. So that's one. Then you have text box, which is the card number, because you are making sure that they have to put information here, 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 and here. So that is a content control because you're making sure that the credit card number is a certain amount of digits, and that's all it's going to accept. Then you could put expiry dates, which would be a date picker. So a date picker here, when they click in here, they will click here, and then they'll get a little calendar thing coming up, and your little calendar thing will show you the different dates. Once you create a fillable form, you would know how this works, because I don't think that... Well, one of the problems with the group SBA is that you assign different things to different students, and the other students don't ever get to see how to do it, because most of the times, as I said, teachers only teach this when they have to do the SBA, but you don't go through the theory and go through any work with students in the class or whatnot. So IT teachers should go through these things, which is what I do with my class. So expiry dates, you put in date picker. And then this one here that says click to enter first and last name. That's a full name. Full name is a text box too. Oh shucks, I mixed this one up here. This is supposed to be card number, and text box supposed to go on the next side. Okay, sorry about that. Card number supposed to be over here, and text box supposed to be here. Right. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes I feel like dyslexic, you know. Right, card number goes inside there. Expiry, right. So expiry dates, right. Good. We could also go well, I don't want to write text box again because full name, this is also a text box. Payment method, credit card, this could be a drop down box because you could choose credit card or debit card, right? Amount due, that'll come up by itself. You'd have to choose that. So I'll put payment method. Would be drop down box. Drop. Right. Good. So that's 4. Other ones that you could choose a button. because you could put in a submit button for somebody to click, because that is a content control, because they have to click the button. And yeah, so text box will be for full name, card number will be for full name, expiry date will be date picker. If you put date and time, I don't think they'll accept it because you have to put date picker. Yeah. A text box is a command, yes, but it is a content control because you control when the content is submitted. If you have the labels correct but the content control wrong, it's 4 marks. They check in 1 correct line per mark. So they'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't have a correct line, they ain't gonna get it. If you have correct labels and wrong content controls, they might give you a mark. Might. But yeah. Checkbox, tick box, yeah, they will accept that too. I can't see them bending for that. The fillable electronic form is designed for a graphical user interface. Take to advantage of using a GUI over command line. GUI has windows to show different folders. They have icons to associate with programs. Menus to give multiple options, and pointers to choose exact things. All of them make the word WIMP, W-I-M-P. Right, so whenever you're talking about a GUI, WIMP is your friend. That is what they're going to have on the mark scheme. That's what they're going to have. If your advantages are easy to use or whatnot, you're going to have to say why it's easy to use, because you're trying to say instead of command line interface. So you say it's easy to use because there are colors. It's easy to use because there are guidelines. It's easy to use because of whatever. It's easy to use because of something. So if you just say easy to use, you need not get any mark. You have to be able to show what makes it easy to use. There are windows, there are icons, there are menus, there are pointers. Whenever you think GUI, think WIMP all the time. Always, always, always. And right, Ali and Rafi are discussing the approaches to prevent and detect incorrect data entry. This is exactly what they said they would do when they changed the syllabus. They were like, they're going to give you a scenario, and then that scenario is going to work its way down, and they're going to ask you multiple questions about it based on the same scenario. So notice they're still asking about Ali and Rafi, and this is what I was like happy for. I was looking forward to when they changed the syllabus, because the old syllabus was just regurgitation of information. Didn't really have much critical thinking or whatnot. But this new syllabus is supposed to have critical thinking. And this is the first paper that I've seen where they really follow that pattern. So whether or not they've been listening to my rants on the other papers, or whether they just realize, oh, this is what we should do, I'm happy, because this is good examine here. It's a good question. Right? So they are discussing the approaches to prevent and detect incorrect data entry. Complete the following table by inserting the definition of each approach and given 2 examples. So, validation is ensuring the data that is put in meets an acceptable standard, right? I'll leave it at that, right? Once it meets an acceptable standard, validation check could be range, it could be format and length, could be consistency, it could be data type, it could be reasonableness, R-E-A-S-O-N, reason. And there's probably some other check, something like that. Can't remember what it is. What's the other one, boy? Range, consistency, format and length, data type, reasonableness, and presence check, yeah. Right, any one of those checks should be. Verification is ensuring that the data put in is correct or an accurate reflection of the original. Right, so it has to be an accurate reflection of the original because you are verifying that is correct. Verification is a lot less, so you have double entry, and you have what's the one that's called where you're reading it over? Visual checks. Yeah. Double entries, you have to put it in twice and they have to match each other, and visual checks means you look at it and you read it back and you read it over. Yeah. They have a small space for examples, so I don't think you could write a lot. I know. If you give a scenario and you fit the scenario inside there, cool. But there's a reason why the column is so small. The column is so small because they just want to give you a definition and an example of one validation check or example of one verification check. If you pass scenario, somewhere in the scenario, you should have the explanation that it's double check, but yeah, I don't think so. It can be a password. If you give me an example of entering a password twice to make sure that it is the same, then yeah, if you could fit that in that space, sure, cool. But they're just looking for those words. Two-step verification, yeah, two-step verification is acceptable too, because that's a double entry, or two forms of entry. Yeah. No, I don't think before and after processing will work. Right, so this question 2. Question 2, as I said before I started, question 2 has the ability for a lot of ambiguity, which you would see 2A, B, C, and D. All the stuff for the word processing, there are multiple answers I could put there. So if I say that there's a part where you could lose marks or you could get marks because they will have some gray areas, this is the closest thing to a gray area that this paper has. Question 2. But from F part down with this online filling out thing, this cake, that's straightforward stuff. Like if you know your work, you'll be able to write it down. Good? So, that was question 1 and 2.